Can I just see a show of hands? Who has LinkedIn profiles today? Oh, a lot of you. Or like, and how many of those were like you put them up and don't really use them? Okay. All right. That's why this is 101. 201 is going to be what we call rocking our profiles. 101 is going to be a little bit, I've got a profile. What should I do on LinkedIn? Why would I be there? How can I use it to empower my own career, right? So, all right, good. Let me intro myself and a little bit about what we're going to do today. We're not going to cover all this, so don't worry. So a little bit on me. My name is Larry Gould. Yes, as Kenya asked, I work at LinkedIn. I'm not the CEO or the owner, unfortunately. I represent our group that works with the Berkeley Talent Acquisition Team, as well as all the different talent acquisition teams within the UC system. I'll talk a little bit about our business just to give context for who we are as a business and who our membership is. So that's actually what I want to do first. Talk about our business a little bit and our membership, who's on LinkedIn, to give you context for then going onto LinkedIn and looking at what's on the site, how can I use it, where should I go. So that's the 101 part. And then we'll get into some of the profile. There's a huge delta between someone who's just put up a profile, I'm not going to pick on you, or doesn't have a picture, just puts their name up, doesn't build connections, versus truly leveraging that profile for the purposes of networking and your professional identity, right? So update, kind of 101 overview on the site, and then a little bit more on the profile. In the afternoon session, we'll get into, okay, from there, I've built my connections, I've got a profile. How do I make my profile really stand out? And then how do I engage with my network through content sharing, through posts and things like that. So let's get to it. We're going to start with a video, but before we get into it, I'm typically working, as I mentioned, with talent acquisition teams, working on hiring. I am not necessarily a presenter going around advocating on LinkedIn. I'm a New Yorker, I'm personable. I like direct questions and comments, so please, people have feelings, questions on LinkedIn all the time. Throw them out as we go through this. Let's make this useful for you guys. And with that, any burning questions that you guys want to ask me to kick this off, or things I can take down as I go through the presentation today? I'm sure they'll come out. First, we'll talk about how we look at our business, then we'll talk about our membership on LinkedIn, who's on LinkedIn. Have you guys seen this before we get into this? I thought this was kind of fun. If it's a little hard to read up here, you can just Google social media donut, and this will pop up. But again, this is where we are here at LinkedIn, right? There's all this social media. You're like, am I on Twitter? Am I using Facebook? What about Instagram or Snapchat, right? But LinkedIn is about your skills and your expertise. Thought this was a cute way to start. So talking about LinkedIn's business, just want to open your eyes to what we are. We are not a job board. We are not in business to make money solely off of helping recruiters attract you outside your own organization or university. We're a very mission-driven organization, headquartered here in Northern California. Our mission is to connect the world's professionals and make them more productive and successful. And then our vision, what we're building, is really towards creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And how are we doing towards that vision? We're doing quite well, actually. When you think about around 3.3 billion members of the total global workforce, kind of craft workers, part-time, temporary. You've got 600 million full-time professional workers worldwide, and we've got 300 million members worldwide, and we'll talk about who's on LinkedIn and our membership. But with that vision, I've been at LinkedIn about 15 months. I think when I joined, we were 200 million. So in 15 months, have grown over 100 million members. And with that vision, our hope is to really build out what our CEO calls the economic graph. If you think about it, if you take every individual, not just in the United States, globally, that's a member of the workforce and you put them on LinkedIn, every company is represented. Every skill is represented on LinkedIn. Universities, every job opportunity is represented. There's a true graph of where opportunity is, where unemployment is, where underemployment is, and we have the ability to help people with their path to acquiring the right skills in the right markets, to identify their full potential, in essence. So again, this is, when we make updates to our network, when we're building new products and enhancements, it's really towards the member and towards this vision of creating a true economic graph. We are a business, we have to make money. So how do we do it? Again, I mentioned I work in kind of the what we call our hiring solutions team, which you can see here, helping organizations, universities, hospitals find and attract what we call passive talent, people on LinkedIn but not actually looking for work or actively looking for work. That's one way we monetize our business. That's in terms of revenues, that business alone is over $1 billion in revenue because we've totally changed the way that organizations find and attract talent. Advertising is what Market represents, our marketing solutions business. So if I'm Microsoft and I want to showcase our new CRM system to chief information officers in California, I can target ads directly to them, right? Advertising is a big way we make money. And then we have a sales solutions business as well. So while we're a very mission-driven organization, we have these 3 distinct business units that roll up into that vision. Okay. Shifting over from our business into our members, why do people come to LinkedIn? I think this is what people think of most. Why should I be on LinkedIn? Well, it's my professional profile of record, right? It's my professional identity online, and we'll talk about building that out. It's also about networking, about building your network, getting content from your network, and using that to your advantage to build your career, build your skills, find your next opportunity, certainly within the UC system. Insights. If you haven't used us or you don't use us on a regular basis, this has been a big area of value for our members, and we'll go through this a little bit. Increasingly, you can not just get news from your connections that you've worked with, you can get all different kinds of insights from different publishers, like the Wall Street Journal, from different influencers, as we call them, like Barack Obama posting articles, what inspired him in his career, that type of content, or channels that we've created, and I'll show you how to do that. And aside from that, increasingly, the world is mobile. We're everywhere our members are in terms of desktop and mobile. So just kind of going into that insights piece, when you think about that, the content that we have, we're actually the #1 digital business publisher on the internet. We get more traffic for our content than the New York Times does, or the Wall Street Journal, or CNBC. We've got over 1.5 million publishers. We've got those influencers, which we'll talk about, captains of industry. We've got company information and group content. Make sense? So just rounding out who's on LinkedIn. So our latest numbers, 300 million members worldwide. Over 2 new members joining every second. It's closer to 2.5 new members joining every second. And really, it's across all industries and all regions. You can see only 1/3 of our membership is US based. We're the first social network operating openly in China. 5 million is a small number for China, certainly, but it's a starting point with our simplified Chinese language site. Well over 30 million students and recent graduates. So that's why you're getting a lot of invitation requests. But that's a huge area of focus for us, so we can help earlier in the decisioning process and influencing process for students to make their career decisions and even decisions on where they go in terms of their university. And as I mentioned, increasingly, our traffic is coming through mobile devices. And that has several implications for your LinkedIn profile and what we'll talk about probably this afternoon in the Rocking Your Profile session. Globally, I think we're the 12th most trafficked website in the world. And that's pretty amazing when you think about our sole focus on business content and connections. That's more than Amazon.com globally. In the US, I think we're the 9th most trafficked website in the US. That's ahead of Twitter, according to Alexa, which is an Amazon.com company. So again, huge traffic, huge growth for us, which is really exciting. Again, 2 years ago, you could have said, well, LinkedIn is for salespeople, or LinkedIn is for marketing people, right? Is LinkedIn for higher education? Is LinkedIn for you guys building your careers? 100%, and we'll get into that. So going from our global numbers into the education industry a little bit, just pulled some numbers. This includes the broad industry, so universities as well as companies that classify themselves within this education industry. Active US members, active in the last 30 days, over 2 million members on LinkedIn, representing over 55,000 companies and universities. We know they're active. Nearly half of them are also using our InMail platform, which is our messaging service. I'll show you that a little bit. What functions are these people in? Education, research, and administrative functions. So with that global growth, there's no question your industry's on LinkedIn, people like you are on LinkedIn. So definitely challenge you to think broadly about the value you can get when you think about building your profile and making connections. Questions on that? Make sense? Yeah.
2 million active US members in education.
In education, yeah. I think it was 100 million members in total in the US. I don't know what the active numbers are on that, active in the last 30 days. All right, this is where we're going to roll up the sleeves. Is it going to be helpful for you guys to just walk through the site a little bit? Yeah, I'm just getting a lot of nods. Awesome. And please, fire away at me. So we'll spend, just taking a time check. So we'll spend 25 minutes or so going through the site. And then would it be helpful to just go through some of the tips on the profile itself? Perfect. Okay. So let's do that. Okay. Any other questions before I get into this?
Who was number one? You said you were like 9 out of, who was the traffic? Who's number one?
It's got to be Google. The company's Alexa, Alexa, and if you just Google Alexa top sites, it'll give you the list, but I'm pretty sure it's Google. Yeah, good question. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through basic navigation, basic content, and then getting into some content and some searches. So this is the homepage.
Can we stop right there?
Yeah. Here we go.
For those of us who only go to our LinkedIn profile when somebody sends us an invite to connect, this isn't where we end up. Like, I stumbled across this one today and went, oh, is this what LinkedIn is supposed to look like? Because I always end up at my
Oh, you have a microphone there.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, good question. I can repeat it just for the videotaping. Just like, this is not where you come when you get an invitation request, right? So what is this? My general philosophy, of course, I work for LinkedIn, is to be, generally speaking, an open networker within the people you know. If a family member, that strange uncle of yours, invites you to connect, or a former colleague, I would say there's value in that for you, for building your network. Certainly, you don't have to accept every request from students and otherwise, but I would accept those and I would build your network. It's extremely important as I show you some of the searches you can do and content you can get. So that said, once you do some of those accepting of connections or adding a bunch of connections yourself, that will diminish. That every time you come, you'll see a different page where you're going to get connections, and you can actually come to LinkedIn.com and hit the homepage. Is that a helpful answer?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So good. Any other questions? Okay. So what am I seeing on the homepage, or what do I want to kind of talk about today? You know, like as with any social network, I'm seeing content in what we call our network activity stream, or network update stream. So I'm seeing Pulse, which is a company we acquired. So recommended content based on my profile and my connections, okay, at the top here. As I scroll down, you can actually see I'm seeing work anniversaries for some of my connections. I worked with Lisa for a while. I'm going to give her a thumbs up on that. I can see what my network is talking about. You can see 4 different people have shared something. LinkedIn launched its first standalone job search app. I can see things that my connections are saying. Dan Green, he's actually liking someone else's update, right? So I'm getting a combination of what my network is sharing in terms of connections, companies I'm following, the content they're putting out, these publishers and channels that I'm following, content they're putting out. You can see CNBC below, right? I mentioned business content. Harley Davidson just got greener, that's cool. So I would urge you to take a look at that. If you use our mobile app, or you don't use it, I urge you to go to the App Store or Android, the Google Play Store, and download that. It's very easy to see on your mobile device, and you begin to get content from your network. So one reason to continue to build that network of individuals as well as companies and content is certainly to get a rich and robust rich and robust content from your broad network. So that's what this looks like, okay? What I'll call out is if you're newer, so LinkedIn recommends people you may know based on your LinkedIn profile, where you worked previously, your other connections. You can choose to invite them or not. We'll talk a bit about groups. I'm just going to come down here. Recommended groups based on my LinkedIn profile and my skills. Okay, so easy to quickly find groups to join, and companies that I may want to follow as well, just down below here. Make sense? That's what I'm going to call out for now on the homepage. But LinkedIn is about the profile, it's about your connections, and it's about content. So when we come up to the navigation here, if you've got the kind of skeleton of a profile, or you're just starting, under Profile, Edit Profile is where you're going to come in. Mine's going to look a little different. Just ignore that because it's an internal thing right now. But you can come in and literally add a photo, just the basics here. Update your name, title. You can see experiences. I'm just going to scroll through here. It's all very simple to do. Edit Profile is what I would highlight here. If you just click the button, you can also see your profile. You're our power user, by the way. Bruce, you're a power user. You can also come in and see who's viewed your profile, right? I'm going to come back to this when we talk about searching your network and why you would do that and how you would reach out. But it's valuable to see who's viewing your profile. So you would do that under the profile, who's viewed my profile.
Can I just ask, I've now got 2 profiles, one from a previous job.
Yeah.
How do I get rid of the one I don't want anymore?
Great question. So yes, and another version of that question is, I have my professional self as an administrator or teacher, and then I have the artist self or the yoga teacher self or whatnot. Are those one and the same? And the answer is they absolutely are and should be one and the same. This is not a resume. This is your professional record or professional identity of record online, but it's important that it comes through with passion. It comes through very personally and authentically, which often a resume doesn't, frankly. So we want all that rich content about who you are, and it's going to help you in building your network and making connections. To the tactics of that question, there's a really good help center by scrolling over your picture here and coming down to the Help Center. I'll actually just go in there and open it now. Keyword based, you'll be able to just either find a way to do it, duplicate profiles. Come in here, punch that in, and you can see there's a closing my account, duplicate accounts. There's always going to be a form to fill out to actually submit a request. I can't find my answer. Can you guys merge these two accounts for me? So we'll definitely help you with that. Great question.
Thank you.
Yep. So we'll come back to who's viewed my profile, but in the spirit of navigation, coming in and editing your profile, and this is where you can come and see who's viewed your profile. The Connections tab, for the most part, I would highlight for some of you newer users. This is a way to come in and add connections in bulk by uploading the context that you already have in your Yahoo Mail or Gmail or other mail clients. Some people love this. Some people hate it. It's also a reason you're like, why am I getting this invitation request from someone who I barely know or emailed with once or twice? It could be because they uploaded their Gmail contacts, and Gmail actually, if those who are familiar with it, if you email someone once, you're a contact in Gmail. But I would say it's a good starting point. And again, the value of LinkedIn isn't just I create a profile once and move on. You don't have to come in every day and get the content, but it's this network that you begin to build and create. So it doesn't matter to me if you use this functionality or you just search for people in other ways, but this is a great way to get started. Okay? I see a lot of hands. Yes, right here.
Privacy, I mean, like I see that, and it's obviously a complicated, big question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that we can
Oh.
the question.
Hi, I just wanted to say that, when I see that about adding all my email contacts or whatever, it just really makes me nervous. So can you talk a little bit about LinkedIn and your privacy policies?
I can do my best. I can assure you it's not our business to want to mine your contacts. And I can certainly follow up with the team to get more of our stance around this. We do nothing with this information other than help you generate connections. Again, we are a Silicon Valley company that's mission driven towards doing great things for the global workforce. Your contacts are not our priority. And I can say that with certainty. I've worked for companies where I would not feel good saying those types of things. So that's the true stance. By all means, punch that into the Help Center. But I would say, just like when I did my taxes this year, which I was really excited, I did them myself, and I did them with TurboTax. Anyone use TurboTax? And it was like, do you want? And I have a Charles Schwab account. Do you want to put your Charles Schwab password in there and have that, kind of the 1099s imported directly? And I was like, ooh, do I do that? And I did it, right? And I was like, you know what? It's in the cloud. I took a shot, but I would say be diligent, and you don't want to share this information with everyone. This is not our focus as a business, and take that leap of faith. We're not here to mine your contacts. Great question. Yeah. Oh.
Hi, so I currently do have a LinkedIn account, and I do have the free version, but I noticed you have the premium version. I think it might be helpful if you pointed out what perks that you get with a premium account, because I think most people, if they do create a LinkedIn account, they might use the free version, unless their department is willing to pay for it if they have their personal one.
Right.
I just think it might be helpful if you pointed out, oh, I have the premium account. This may not be available to you if you have the free version.
Great. Yeah, everything I'm going to show you is in the free version.
Okay.
If I can table that answer just for a little bit, I'll just talk to what's in the premium version. I mean, we might get into it a little bit this afternoon. The short answer is that if you've really built out your network and you really want to start to connect with people beyond your first degree and second degree, the premium access gives you the ability to really search your broad network and send messages to people whose contact information you don't have. That's the short answer. But everything I'm going to show you is in the free, and I think generally speaking, for the purposes of 101 and getting up to speed, you guys can knock it out of the park with a LinkedIn free account.
Are all the things like changing your email address and all of that, that's in profile?
You want to, the question is just
change the email address, make some changes to the current.
Yeah. So you've got a LinkedIn profile. You want to change your email address. You want to change your email address on your profile, or change your email address where you're receiving invitations and things like that?
It might be the whole thing, like right now mine's at UC Berkeley email address, and maybe in 5 years' time I'm not here. How to make those changes to it.
Perfect. So that's also going to be over here under privacy and settings. Okay. So you can have multiple email addresses associated with your LinkedIn profile, and then just choose which one you want primary. I have my Yahoo. Let's see.
And you can change password in there and all that.
Change password, all that stuff is in there. So I would say can't hurt to have both, and select your Gmail as your primary if you're more comfortable with that. The other thing, if it's part of the question, under edit profile, there's this contact information field on everyone's LinkedIn profile. You know, again, in the spirit of open networking and being connected, you can put your email address in there. Many don't. You don't have to, but know that that's more public facing as opposed to receiving the connection requests. Okay? Good questions.
Thank you.
In the back there, yep.
Please hang on a second until I get the microphone to you, okay?
Regarding the work anniversary, on my LinkedIn account, it indicates I got like a message and it went to my networks, you know, congratulate Ramona for working on her current job for 6 years, and I've been there a lot longer, and it's not a big deal, but I'm just curious, is it because I may have signed up for LinkedIn 6 years ago, or?
No.
No?
Good question. So the question is around, like I saw the work anniversary and I liked for Lisa Brosterhouse. That's based on when you say your start date is in the work experience field on your LinkedIn profile. So for example, if I said I started working at LinkedIn in June of 2013, my network would see, congratulate Larry on his 1 year anniversary at LinkedIn, because it's now a year later. So one of the challenges could be, if you update your LinkedIn profile, you're still, now you're senior XYZ title. Before you were XYZ title, you know, it might be that could be the issue. You know, we're viewing a year's worth of time. Does that help answer the question?
It does.
All right, one more, then we're going to come back. Yes?
Hold on.
Can you opt out of the work? You know, there's a lot of things you can opt out of, and I think we're getting better at that. People want to update their LinkedIn profiles and don't want everyone to get in their network to get contacted. So again, I would go back, spend a little bit of time in the privacy and settings area. You can do a lot of things. You can go anonymous. You can turn off lots of different things under communications, under profile. So I'm not 100% sure on your specific piece on the work anniversary, but you can do a lot here to turn a lot of that noise down. Is there a specific reason you'd want to do that?
I was just curious.
Yeah.
What LinkedIn allows you to opt in or out of, and just what options you have available to you under privacy, and
Great.
what is automatic.
Yeah, no, it's a great point. You know, again, the default is this open access, and come in, you can really dial that back, both at a high level and then in your profile itself. So by all means do that.
Can you go back and show where that is again?
Oh yeah, so if you scroll over your picture and then come down to privacy and settings. Okay, so I'm just coming back here. This is great stuff, so thank you for the questions. Oh, it's noon. Okay. And we're going till 12:35. 12:30. Okay. Well, good. We'll keep moving. Thank you. So again, it's about the profile, which you can edit the profile here. It's about those connections. Again, if you're new, you're going to potentially look at adding connections that way. Certainly, LinkedIn is known for being a resource for job opportunities. I would encourage you, if it's hard to use the system-wide job board, you could come in and do a search for University of California or UC Berkeley and view jobs that way. Again, think differently about it. If we go in through internal job board site, you'll see the job posting. If I come in this way, I can actually see how I'm connected to the person who posted that job, right? Why would I want to do that? Maybe I just want to have coffee with the person to just discuss what it's about, right? Maybe I want to understand more but not ready to apply. Again, you can do more coming through and looking at jobs this way and beginning to do research and understand. I'm not going to go through that here unless you guys want me to. Question?
Is it common Berkeley practice?
Oh.
Is it common Berkeley practice to put internal, I'm sure external goes on in LinkedIn, but internal hires on information on LinkedIn?
Good
job
question.
opportunities?
Are you asking that because Bruce is here?
Yeah. Because in that way, then what you're saying wouldn't appear. If they don't do that, then I wouldn't be able to see, oh, I know so-and-so, I'll go have coffee with them.
There isn't every job at UC Berkeley on LinkedIn. So your best resource might be maybe first stopping at the Berkeley career page, and then you can come back to LinkedIn and reference it.
At any given time, we have about 27 positions posted on LinkedIn because we have 27 job slots purchased. So it's 27 is the magical number that we have, but all of our jobs are posted in multiple venues. But you can see what we have on LinkedIn are our key positions and our emerging technologies on campus.
Great, thank you. Cool. You got your profile, connections. You can begin to look at jobs, interests. So this is where all that content is that I was talking about before, right? #1 digital business publisher. So I just want to spend a little bit of time here going through groups and going through that pulse section. Okay? Do you guys understand, from that video and your own usage, what LinkedIn groups are about? Kind of. Okay. I mean, at its highest level, it's a forum for like-minded people to get together. What they do in that forum is going to vary greatly. It could be an internal forum, like we have one LinkedIn employees, and we're talking about things like, should we have Snapple iced tea or Arnold Palmer in the refrigerator. So there's internal forums, and then there's a lot of external forums. It could be UC Berkeley alumni, it could be Harvard Business Review, and in these forums, it's really a conversation piece. In the spirit of growing and building your career, we did a workshop here on campus about a month ago, and there was a woman in there who wanted to go from more administrative role into a different role. And one of the things I mentioned to her is join different groups for the career that you want to go towards. And you can begin to see, so here, I'll go into one. So here, if you come into the groups tab and you haven't done this before, there'll be some recommended groups, or here's find a group.
There's one for UC Berkeley.
Yeah, there's actually a lot for UC Berkeley. So you can easily find a group. It's a little hidden there, which is why I call it out. Over 1,000 groups with Berkeley in the title. So check that out. But let me just come in, and again, there are these discussions of people talking about whatever is the theme of that group. If it's alumni, they're going to be talking about their careers and their opportunities. It's Harvard Business Review. I was reading through this earlier. It might be articles about, Amazon's new foray into like mobile and phone. It could be about customer data. And you can see who these people are that are posting the articles. You can see the discussions that are started and coming out of it, be them internal or external. So it's really an opportunity to ask those questions, to network, and see what's top of mind for people within this group. Some are more active than others, absolutely. You can start your own discussion. Hey, I'm thinking of making a career shift within UC to this role. Is there anyone that this group recommends I speak with, or something like that? It could be as open as that, if that's your style, or it could be more subtle, right? So that's the discussions piece. You can search, across the members. So who am I connected to in this group? First degree, I know them directly. Second degree, we know the same person in common, right? And then, again, I can always search within this group. Harvard Business Review, what are people saying about, big data or something like that? I could type that in. So it's an opportunity to join different groups of like-minded individuals. So I'd say value number one is the content you get from these groups. Value number two is now these become part of your extended network. So as you think about searching your network and connecting with people and asking for career advice or talk about opportunities, you can now talk to these people. There's a common thread, right? Hey, we're both part of the Harvard Business Review group. Saw you post an interesting article on this. I'm trying to break into that field. Would you mind spending 20 minutes with me talking about that? Where before, I can't make that common connection to that.
I think the discussions page is, I think from my opinion, from having a LinkedIn profile, the discussions page is very informational. When I was making my transition from an HR generalist to an HR partner, and I was kind of iffy about if I even wanted to accept the position, I posted back that question on LinkedIn.
Good for you.
And I mean, it was like thousands of replies, but it was actually great information from other people who were HR partners or who were thinking about it. And they do respond. You'll get a whole bunch of responses. But I like the discussions page.
That's great.
If you're
I'm curious, what group was that? Do you remember that you posted it in?
No, I created my own question.
Right, in which group?
I don't know. It was a while ago.
Was it internal or like to Berkeley?
No, it was out. No,
it
was out. It's not internal, no.
Good for you. That's a great example. So again, there's the discussions piece, and then there's the connected piece of reaching out to these people. Just gonna, based on time, gonna just end it there if I can, because I want to show you Pulse quickly. So again, we've got a profile. We're beginning to build it out. We're building out our connections. The last piece is building out content. So joining groups and finding them. Next would be under Pulse. The navigation can be a little tough. I'm actually going to just come into Discover to show you what's in here. This is where you can come in and follow. There's going to be recommended for you, like we like to do here. I'm just going to show you what's in here. Here's where you can see all the influencers, right? You're not connected to these people, but you're following content that they share and post. So you can see these check marks. I'm following Jack Welch, former CEO of GE, Bill Gates, Richard Branson, Arianna Huffington of the Huffington Post, Barack Obama, our CEO, and you can see Prime Minister of the UK, David Cameron's on here, and you can begin. And they're not just writing articles about like what it's like to be president. Barack Obama is going to write articles about what inspired him in his career growth, or how he addressed a really tough challenge in his life. Things like that are inspirational and career-driven. So I'd urge you to come in and grab a few influencers to follow, and you do that simply by checking. I'm not really interested in T. Boone Pickens, but I'll just click it for the sake of this, clicking on that plus mark. Here are the channels, right? So going from influencers to more content channels. So our editorial team is kind of putting this together. What are all the articles under leadership and management? That's where I want to go with my career. Serve me more content, and see the discussions for people who are interested in leadership and management. And you can see over 5 million people following that channel specifically. Education is a channel. Professional women is a channel, etc. So coming into that. And then here are those publishers. Again, this is not a, yes, question.
So I guess I'm just kind of confused. So what really is the difference between like the forums groups versus like the channels? Sorry.
No, that's okay.
So I'm asking, so what is the difference between like the channels versus the groups / forums?
Exactly.
I mean, how is the content different?
Good question. Right, because we see Harvard Business Review here. So the difference is this is content that you're signing up to receive and the corresponding discussion that goes with the content. The group itself, and maybe Harvard Business Review was a bad choice on the group I showed you, but that's a forum, exactly what you said. It's a discussion area and a forum of like-minded individuals. So a better group I could have showed you was, you know, I can't be part of it, but UC Berkeley alumni. Or it could be, I mean, type in education or human resources. Maybe that was the type of group that you posted to, Kenya. So it's really a conversation area and discussion area. And people will post content there. But again, anyone can post content into that Harvard Business Review group. Only Harvard Business Review is going to be selective about the content they share with me by following them as a publisher.
So, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Is this the section that you would get that email in your email account saying, you know, here's some interesting articles because of the people you've chosen to follow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That I think it's called Pulse, the email, right? It's going to take who you're following and kind of serve you content that might be relevant to you. Okay? I've been asked the question before. It's not a bad question. So if I have Forbes, if I'm following Forbes, does that mean I don't need to read my Forbes magazine or go to Forbes.com? And the answer is no. Forbes is going to be selective about what they share. We saw, what was that, CNBC put a picture of Harley Davidson's hybrid motorcycle, whatever it was. They're sharing some content and some news and articles, but it's going to be different than going to Forbes itself and getting that content. But again, in terms of rounding out the value you guys can get in driving your career, I would urge you to join groups and follow content.
So as far as the marketability of your profile, does it really matter one way or the other if you have a profile picture up? Because right now I just have the blue square.
Big time. If there's one thing that we get to on the profile, it's put a picture up. We got 300 million members. You're on LinkedIn. You're taking ownership of your career. Make your profile public. Put a picture up.
Professional.
Professional picture. We'll talk about that. And begin to own it. You know, we're asked a lot of questions about, I want to profile up, but I want to keep everything anonymous. Yeah, I think that's missing the point. I think that the stats are something like profiles with pictures are viewed 10 times more than profiles without a picture. Yeah, please.
Hi, you said you were going to get to it, but I don't know if you're going to have time.
Yeah.
What is the purpose, since this is supposedly a career-driven professional site, what is the purpose of having my crazy Uncle Ned as one of my connections?
Yeah, it's a great question.
I'm going to address that, but I don't know if you're going to have time.
Well, here, it's a good segue. Is this helpful? I know we're jumping around, but is this good? Okay? So I'm gonna jump a little bit. My thought is, if he's truly a nut job, and he's never held a career in his life, or I'm exaggerating, but the field he's been in and what he's done, and you just don't want to connect with him, don't connect with him. That said, again, your connection is of tremendous value to you, and I'm going to do a search in a moment, and maybe he knows people that can be instrumental to the types of conversations you want to have. Now, if that individual really you don't feel there's value for you, don't accept their connection. But again, I've been asked that question before, should I connect with students? Not everyone, but again, some of these students will be our future bosses, right? And I mean, that's the way I feel at LinkedIn. Some of the new hires are phenomenal. They'll be my boss in a few years. So I would connect with them. But again, if you know they're worthless, you could leave.
be blunt.
Let's be blunt.
And I guess connecting with people you've met or know versus people that you just get an email and you've never heard of them.
Right. So I personally, so I think there's value in family. Again, it's professional, but generally speaking, family, I think there's value there. I don't accept, generally speaking, connections requests from people I don't know. Now, if anyone connected with me after this, I would accept, of course. But I had the other day, like the head of research and development for Apple in EMEA, in Europe, send me a connection request. I don't know who this guy is. I'm thinking his network is extremely valuable, but I don't know who he is, so I didn't accept it. Because ultimately, I want to be able to turn to someone and say, you know this person, and I'd love to talk to them. So I think if you know them, and there's some value there, and then accept it. Can I do this search quick, and I'll come back to you? So here's where, to go further on that question, okay, you're following content, you're building out your connections, you've got a photo up, right? You're building out your profile, and now you want to own your career. You want to take that move from, what was it? Generalist to HR business partner, right? And you want to begin to ask your network and understand. So come in, and you can do a search. I'm just going to show you one way to do that. And again, you can do this with LinkedIn Free. To the question around premium versus free, I have more filters to search my network with the in through premium. But again, I'm going to use free here. I set this up doing a different kind of search, so I'm just going to follow my line of thought. I was doing tennis coach. So now I'm searching my network for anyone. Let's say I'm passionate about tennis. I want to make a move towards being a tennis coach, right? So I'm going to use tennis coach as the keyword. I'm going to search my network just that broadly. And here now I don't know any tennis coaches personally. I don't think I do. But people I know tennis coaches, right? 244 of them. And this is my first degree, you can see at the top, my second degree, and those group connections are going to show here. Why join groups? I get more people that I can potentially talk to about being a tennis coach.
So do you know those people or?
No, so watch. So Corey knows Mike P. Mike.
You know Mike.
I know Mike. Oh, excuse me. I know Mike P. Jeff knows Lori, who went to Emory, where I went, right? And the head women's coach at St. John's knows Rand Sachs, who's a fraternity brother of mine from many years ago. So let's say I want to. This is where I'd go into Taka's profile, right? See who she is, right? And now if I actually wanted to have a conversation with her about how did you make the move from professional tennis player to tennis coach? Or what's it like working with a team day in and day out? If I just send her an email or found a way to call her, why is she going to take my call? If I call Rand, who I can totally call, and say, hey Rand, I see you're connected to Taka, or I can email Rand. How do you know her? Would you mind introducing us? Because I'd love to just pick her brain about a few things. He'd be like, great, she used to babysit me. So I'm happy to make that intro. And then Rand makes the intro, I'm talking to Taka, and before I know it, I get all this rich insight. If I just try to connect with Taka or call St. John's, she's not going to take my call, right? So why build that network? Maybe it's Ned, cousin Ned or Uncle Ned. Now again, if Ned's worthless, we're going to leave him alone. But so there's you've got your network, searching it and creating that connection. The other thing I could do is even go further, and why you would build out your profiles, right? If I really wanted to be compelling with Taka, I could say, Taka, Rand spoke highly of you. I'd love to chat with you. I know you used to babysit him. I also went to the University of Chicago. It's funny, I probably saw you play on the tour because I was avid. I could create a conversation, right? Is that helpful? I think, to be fair, we were over there.
Yeah, I had a question about the subject you were talking about before. So I get these
these emails from LinkedIn, these are people that want to connect with you and I don't know them. And I don't know how, there isn't a button that says don't accept. They just keep coming up. How do I not get those anymore? How do I say I don't want to connect with this person?
Yeah, so
do you just ignore? Do you just not respond?
Well, you could. I understand that it's more noise. There's one setting you can do under that settings menu that is someone must know your email address to connect with you. So there's actually like an extra step.
Our email addresses are public.
Right, but what you're getting is probably a lot of people uploading their contacts list. If you put this setting, I generally don't advocate doing it, but if you put this setting, know my email address, it's one extra step. It'll stop that influx of emails. But use it sparingly. But and you can ignore or not accept if that's helpful.
Larry, I mean, one of the suggestions that I have for those of you here at Berkeley is when you get those, there might be an unwanted invite. You can always hit the magical X and decline it, or you can send an email to them through LinkedIn tools. So send a message, just drop it down and say, thank you for your request to invite. How do we know each other? That's what I've started doing. I have over 5,000 contacts in my LinkedIn because I've been using it for quite a long time. I don't accept invites from people that I don't know, unless they say UC Berkeley now. But if it's someone off campus, I don't want someone having access to my network, so I always send them just a friendly message. How do we know each other, or how are we networked? And that's a very polite way of respecting your privacy, so you don't have to turn on that button.
It's great point. Yes.
I know you talked about the do's, but you didn't talk, I didn't.
I was wondering what the don'ts that you're not supposed to do in there. I know the pictures should be professional, but
yes.
What else are we supposed not to solicit? I mean, what is proper to put in the LinkedIn?
So you're asking about the LinkedIn profile, and if I'm giving you like a quick 2 minutes on it, what to do. We're not going to get to it today, so come to the next session if you can. It's a bigger room, but just so I don't forget it, you can Google, building a LinkedIn profile. A lot of people love to talk about this topic. A lot of people have built businesses around this. I mean, we do this. I go to companies and talk about building LinkedIn profiles. My colleague yesterday did it for 500 people at a Bay Area company. So it's a great question. There's a lot of content out there. I think it's not a resume. So you just don't want it to be completely generic. You don't want just a shell or a skeleton. So I would say it's more about the do's. Show who you are. Again, what may not look good on a resume, the fact that you've got a yoga background and are certified to teach and are passionate about that, doesn't look good when you're applying for an HR business partner job, per se, with a resume. But with a LinkedIn profile, it tells a great story about who you are and what you're passionate about. And that's what we talk about all the time. So I would say professional photo, headline, and summary, okay, are probably the three most important things. And for the summary, you put maybe what you love about your job, what you're aspiring to do, or what you're passionate about personally. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
We have about 5 minutes, Larry.
Photo, headline. So the headline is where you often see job title. One of the things we talk about from going from kind of good to great with a LinkedIn profile is, I keep picking on you, Kenya, so don't. To go from, so yours probably says HR business partner, right?
Mine just says a professional human resources candidate, something like that.
Okay.
That makes it broad.
Not bad. I'm going to show you Bruce's here. So look at his headline. Finding, developing, and retaining world-class talent for the #1 public university in the world. Go Bears. It doesn't say, director of talent acquisition, right? Or, we see a lot with recruiters. Recruiter, yeah. You should hashtag that so it's searchable. But you see, so again, you don't, 101, just your title's fine. I think it's fine. 201 or getting more from it. People coming on mobile devices, I reach out to Taka, right? That tennis instructor. She pulls me up on her app. She sees my photo and my headline and my summary. I don't think she's going to go through the rest. And that's where Bruce is making a statement right here with his headline. 5 minutes? Okay. Quick question right here.
So, when you were doing your research on tennis, instructors, and Taka comes up through your contact.
Yeah.
Can Taka look at her profile to see who's looked at her?
Yeah.
And she'll see you?
Yeah.
Having stalked her without even knowing her?
Sure.
Yeah?
And now again, you can make that anonymous. So let's actually look. So I started this last night. I found Taka. I was very prepared, but it was like midnight last night. So again, coming back to who's viewed your profile, let's see if Taka's come in and viewed me yet. So you can see LinkedIn member. So you can choose to go anonymous under that settings, privacy and settings. But again, for me, I don't care if Taka knows that. Now, if she sends me a connection request, I'm going to decline it because I don't know her, right? And people do that often. Like I'm doing a demo and I pull up someone's profile and they connect with me. But I think, ask yourself, does it make sense for me to be anonymous? Or is it okay if these people see that I'm viewing them? If you want to be anonymous, privacy and settings, and turn that off. Yep.
So is there a way to do an electronic introduction via LinkedIn? So if I wanted to say, I've got somebody who's looking for a job and I know somebody who's in the field, can I electronically email the person in the field and introduce them to the person who's looking for a job if both are on LinkedIn?
Yes, I think is the short answer.
Okay.
So you can message anyone in your first degree, anyone you're connected to. So is what you're saying like,
I know Bruce.
You know Bruce, but we're not connected, and you're looking.
You want to know Bruce?
Yeah, and I want to know Bruce. Hold on.
I know both of you, but you don't know each other. Can I introduce you on LinkedIn and say, there's a great candidate who's looking for a job, Bruce, you might want to talk to this person?
Yes, you can. Because you're connected to Bruce, you can do that. You can message him, check out Larry, or there's a get introduced piece.
Can I say, here's the guy you need to know, here's his LinkedIn profile, here's his name, so Bruce can click on that and then go see your profile?
Yes. There's a way to do it right on the profile page. Mine might look a little different. You should see this. Get introduced. Then it'll also pull like what the common connection is, because again, it's all about the connection, right? Why would Bruce want to look at me or I want to look at Bruce? Because he respects you tremendously. So that's a big recommendation, right? That kind of thing. 2 minutes. So I'll take another question. I mean, again, I think the spirit of today was to demystify LinkedIn a little bit, to again get you feeling comfortable with the site, get you having the ability to create a profile. So hopefully we've achieved that. We can do another question.
Say your previous view that you had with where people who are looking at your profile,
Yeah.
and just an anecdotal, a close friend of mine had just got laid off, and but it wasn't posted up on his LinkedIn yet, and he looked to see who was looking at him and saw somebody really interesting who he reached out to and said, hey, I see you're in the same field, what you're doing seems really interesting, startup in the city.
Beautiful.
And they said, well, we didn't want to check in with you because we saw you were already working and it looked like what you're doing is very
Right.
cool. And he's got a job now and they're getting great funding and it's taking off. So
Right.
that's just a sort of example of how that is useful
Right.
to see that someone's
Right.
looking at you.
No, it's great. Again, empowering your career, at UC, you might see that, Bruce is looking at you. You can go have coffee with him and talk about opportunities. Whatever it is, the same thing absolutely holds true. So I think we'll close. I guess since we went off the PowerPoint, I don't have a strong closing slide. There we go. But I'll stick around for a few minutes. Thank you guys for joining. Join the session later if you want. Cool.